Welcome in to the DNVR Avalanche pregame show presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Use code DNVR when you sign up for a new account to get amazing odds boosts every single day. Rudo and Jesse here. Megan running a little bit late.
That has to be her. I just hear the running through the hallway.
I'm sure she'll join us live in a minute. I'm starting this show with the Rant because I host this show and I can do whatever I want. Cale Makar.
It's your world, man.
It is my world. Cale Makar out in concussion symptoms tonight. Not that big of a surprise after the hit the other night. We saw that coming.
Yep.
But Department of Player Safety has no repercussions on this.
Yep.
And there's two things that I want to talk about here. Number one is I don't care about Jeff Carter. I don't care if Jeff Carter gets suspended. It has nothing to do with Jeff Carter. Even Pittsburgh fans don't want Jeff Carter in their lineup. So that doesn't matter. But it sets, or more realistically and unfortunately, continues a precedent that sets yourself up for players getting injured. And you just have to do a better job about this. Because now, especially if you get into the playoffs or if you're in an important game and you have players skating around on the ice and they're going to see players and say, look, I'm going to keep my shoulders up.
Yep.
And I'm not going to do it intentionally, but if I run into someone and it accidentally happens to catch them in the head, it's not my fault and I'm not going to get punished for it.
Yep. As long as it wasn't intentional.
Yep. And it's ridiculous that the NHL allows this to happen continually here. And I really, really think the Department of Player Safety needs to do a better job of actually protecting their players. So I really hope that they start doing a better job of that. And before someone brings it up, this is nothing like the Kadri running into Binnington situation. That was him getting tangled up with Calle Rosen, him getting pushed in. Jeff Carter, while unintentional, completely under his own power, skated into Cale Makar and hit him in the head.
Yeah, was in full control of what he was doing. So this is, excuse me, this is my thing with it. That was I don't think it was malicious. I don't think Jeff Carter came down from the high in the zone and said, I'm aiming for Cale Makar's head. But the league has, or the idea is that the league has tried to set a precedent over the last number of years. Hits to the head are illegal for the longest time.
Certainly from the blind side.
Right. And so I had someone in my mentions about, stop talking about blind side. That's not illegal. That's not a problem, whatever. So the word blind side was taken out of Rule 48.1. But if you go back to the original inception of that rule, it specifically called out blind side hits to the head. And where I'm going with this is the NHL in years since has eventually removed those words to say all hits to the head are illegal, regardless of where they come from, regardless of the intent.
Now even if they see it coming.
Right. It is illegal. You cannot hit someone in the head. That's why I look at that 2 nights ago. It says, okay, that is a blind side. To even take that out, that is a hit to the head. It was clear shoulder right to jaw. There's no follow through. There's no coming through the body. There's no principal point of contact is here and he catches his head there. That was pure shoulder to chin.
Yep.
Head snaps back. Makar goes down holding his head. It's everything textbook that you want in terms of any type of supplemental discipline, from penalty to game misconduct to fines to suspensions. To me, watching that play, it checks all the boxes. Now, again, someone's even saying it looked like a little bit of a shoulder shrug. I agree. My point is, regardless, that checked every box before you get into any level of intent. That, to me,
you're suspending that guy before the intent.
Right. That was an easy 1-game suspension because, again, I didn't see any true intent. So I thought 1 game would have sufficed. I also think that should have been. There needs to be something put in place where if the concussion spotters can say, hey, we're calling down on this immediately before the puck is dropped for the next whistle, that should trigger something that, hey, we need to take a look at this, make sure that this wasn't malicious, dirty, there was no, whatever. Oh, wow, that was a hit directly to the head. By our rules where we said any and all head contact is illegal, that should have been a 5-game, a 1-game suspension. Again, I'm not, this isn't me getting any emotions involved, anything saying Cale Makar. That's what your rule says. And your rule says any hits to the head are not allowed.
And this comment from Australia Lynch up at the top. People are going to disagree with this, but every other sports league does a better job than the NHL of protecting their best players. And especially when you look at it on a night like tonight, where now arguably the best defenseman in the world is sitting for a game on ESPN that is a Stanley Cup rematch. That is bad for business.
Yeah.
You have actively hindered yourself from getting what you wanted out of a matchup as far as the NHL is concerned.
And my other issue with it, again, because someone said, well, why do we keep talking about blindside? And I said, the other thing with that, whether it's in the rule or not, the conversation around blindside hits will always persist because they are inherently more dangerous when a player doesn't have a chance to defend themselves. They don't see it coming. They don't have a chance to brace for it. Cale Makar's standing in front of the net, and then suddenly he gets 6'3" Jeff Carter just coming right through.
Yep.
I not even necessarily, again, not even getting into the debate of protecting your stars. This is textbook. This is like that should have been an easy layup. Yep, here the system is going to work the way it's supposed to. He will be ejected from the game. He'll be suspended for one game, and it deters people. Hey, you can't be reckless. In the same way that all high sticking penalties are called the same, because it is your responsibility to be in control of your stick at all times, regardless of what's going on. I don't think it is unreasonable to say, Jeff Carter, you need to be in control of where you're going, and you can't just skate right through somebody that doesn't see you coming, that doesn't have the puck. I'm just disappointed regardless of, and for the record, I would say this if it was going the other way too, because of how black and white this one appeared to me. I thought the system did not work the way that it's spelled out it's supposed to, and that's the part that's most disappointing.
I just don't understand how on one side you can have Gabe Landeskog last year hitting Kirby Dach, getting suspended for 2 games. Kirby Dach's in a vulnerable situation. Absolutely.
Right.
If the onus is on Landeskog to not hit him there, the onus has to be on Jeff Carter to not hit Cale Makar in the head.
And the Landeskog one I thought was weird was because it's like,
he was actively playing the puck.
Well, he was actively playing the puck. But again, they said regardless of what position Kirby Dach was in, he was in the danger zone from the boards. It's on Gabe Landeskog. And while I thought it was weird that they assessed that based, Kirby Dach's gliding through the neutral zone on one knee with the puck on his stick, kind of put himself in the vulnerable position. I understood that because you're saying this isn't a play that we want made, so we're setting the precedent going forward. You can't throw a guy into the wall 4.5 feet out. To me, it was the same thing from a couple nights ago. What's up, Megan?
Hi.
You caught your breath?
I think, too, this is an example of why just leaving it up to honor system alone to be a deterrent from having this type of contact in play doesn't work, because the accountability just isn't there. I don't doubt that Jeff Carter went home and felt badly about this. And I don't doubt that he didn't do this on purpose. It was a lack of awareness that is where the accountability comes into question. Players do need to have awareness of their body in these situations. It's not called a dangerous area of the ice for no reason. And in the same way that he needs to be mindful of his own safety in that situation, he needs to be mindful of other players' safety. And there really isn't a deterrent in place if, whether malicious in intent or not, if he walks away and there's no consequence for this type of hit, it's going to persist because there just isn't a lot of incentive for players to be thinking of this. And I get that it's a game of seconds. This is a criticism I've had of the sport for a very long time. But it also underestimates the high level of intelligence that these players do process the game at and the speed at which they process it at in order to execute and to make plays. Like, they do have to process the game quickly. It is a lot to ask of them, and this would be asking more. But in these situations, there isn't a deterrent in place for Jeff Carter to avoid that kind of contact.
To me, I think the best parallel of this is Cale Makar has gotten called for that pick play.
Yep.
Right?
That barely touching a guy.
Right. And they're calling 2-minute penalties. Obviously, it's not perfectly, equivalent, but they're saying, Cale, you are responsible for knowing what's going on around you.
Yep.
And you will be penalized if you aren't aware. So watch Cale Makar now. He had the one game where he was like kind of making a joke of it, where he was like sticking his hands up in the air like, see, I'm not touching anyone. But watch how much more aware he is when he runs that play and he leaves the puck and he stops on the blue line, he is much more aware of what's happening around him. It's a game of seconds, it's a game of inches. But again, I don't think, to me, that what happened there the other night was not like, that wasn't part of the game. That's not like, oh, the game's moving fast, you can't get out of the way. The play that happened to Jacob McDonald last season, that's a great example of the game moving fast, and you just got to pick your head up sometimes.
Yep.
That's one where Cale Makar wasn't in a position to be receiving contact. Like, Cale Makar shouldn't have to be looking out for someone's errant shoulder when he's just standing there 7 feet away from the puck. Again, I get there's guys moving around, there's bodies, you got to be engaged, but that was just, the system is supposed to be put in place that says, hey, to your point, Megan, Jeff, we know that wasn't intentional, but Rule 48.1 says this, and so, this will be the repercussions. Just make sure you are mindful of when you're going into an area like that you're not going to pick someone off right in the head. And the Avs were the ones absolutely the most punished in this entire situation from that game, from that moment through the rest of this road trip at least.
And again, the fear here is the precedent that it sets more than anything else. Again, I don't care about Jeff Carter being suspended for 2 games for Pittsburgh. It doesn't matter. But I do care down the line if other people start doing the accidental on purpose thing.
Because now there is a situation to point to that says, well, he didn't get suspended and it was an accident. See, you guys said it was an accident for him. Mine was an accident. I didn't see him standing there. Yep. And it's just, that's the stuff that, and I know it maybe even sounds silly and dramatic to say that, but like, that is a reality. To your point, Megan, these are unbelievably talented players. They know how to take it. If you get to the NHL, it's because you know how to work the inches. You know how to work, the game between the game. And again, I'm not, this isn't Jeff Carter, but now someone that is out there that's a little bit sneaky. I'm not even necessarily saying you're going to throw a thing in the head, but you've now set a precedent that says, well, if it's an accident, it's okay.
Yep. I 100% agree with that take. We do have to preview this game a little bit. Alexander Georgiev versus arguably the best goalie in the world right now, depending on how you feel about Igor
Darcy
Shesterkin.
Kemper's in this game?
Zing! But a good point, right? Darcy Kemper obviously proved himself against Vasilevskiy on the biggest stage in the world, but is this a prove-it game for Alexander Georgiev? You've seen some good games. He outdueled Shesterkin earlier in the year. He's had some good quality ones. Is this another test for Georgiev, or is this just another game?
I think it's absolutely a test. Beyond just who's in competition on the other end in the other net, it's an important game for the Avs to win because they didn't get both points in Pittsburgh. And it's exciting, though, to get this goaltender matchup out of it because there's so much fun in the storyline of Georgiev assuming the role of starting goaltender like he has always wanted and being able to prove that not only to himself but to his teammates, and to be able to have a game like tonight where they really do need the points and one of the best goaltenders in the world just happens to be in the other net. It's exciting because the competition that Tampa provides too is going to really test Georgiev as well. So it's really important in a lot of ways.
Take it even a step further. I've talked to a few of the guys. Did everyone else hear that?
Yeah.
Okay. Talked to a bunch of the guys in the locker room just about, this time of year and how the games really do ramp up. And that's what separates true contending playoff teams from teams that are, having a good year. They're right there on the cusp. It's, can you turn that level up, right? Can you flip the switch and start elevating your game now? Because that's what the playoff teams are going to do. And especially, the West isn't great. There's a lot of flaws with the Western Conference, but the race is really tight pretty much from top to bottom. Dallas and Winnipeg have a little bit of room, but they have played by far the most games. So it's a tight race. How can you ramp it up? Alexander Georgiev, this is going to be his first time going through this, right? Even Darcy Kemper last year had some of that experience with starting to raise the level of your play coming out of the All-Star break, preparing for the sprint. You've been in a marathon mode all year. Now's the home stretch where you have to get to the end. This Avs group feels really confident in the fact that they think they can elevate their game because they've shown it the last several years. And, we see veteran teams do this every year where, you get into the back half and, it kicks in. to your point, Megan, you are going up against a team that has shown they are as good as anybody at doing that in the last 5 years, in the last decade even. Alexander Georgiev is going to get his first game out of the All-Star break. He's got to start elevating his game. He never had to do that in New York, to your point, as much as he wanted to be the guy. He was always the backup. He's been around it. He's seen it. He's got to go do it. He was really good in the first half of the season. He's got to dial it up now even more. And tonight, I think that's where you start judging that is, can you actually rise to this moment? You've had some good games. This is what makes or breaks an NHL starter.
I think that's a great point, too, about the timing in the season, looking back at how this is the time Kemper really elevated his play so much that the Avs were able to also dominate in front of him, but to lead atop the West the way that they did, also alongside Kemper performing the back half of the season so well that he entered Vezina conversations. Georgiev's in a different position in that he actually had a really good start to his year, and now you have to see what he's made of. Can he maintain this? Can he ramp it up to another level that we haven't even seen of him yet, beyond what we saw in Kemper last year?
Or just, can he continue getting the same results as the play around him elevates? You know what I mean? Like, I don't necessarily need to see his numbers go up, but can you continue that, like you said, Megan, the strong start from the first half? But as everyone else goes, that means you have to go as well just to stay where you're at.
I mean, look, you talk about flipping the switch. It's tough to get a game much bigger than this one in the regular season. Stanley Cup final rematch.
Yeah.
Avs in a spot where every point matters to them right now.
Yeah. You're
in prime time on ESPN.
It's going to be a hostile building.
Away, yeah. So if there's ever a time to flip the switch, this has got to be it, right? This is when you got to bring the boom. So,
and I'm not necessarily saying, like, I thought Nate was great in that last game against Pittsburgh, and again, that's maybe even a little bit of like a here's a guy that is getting into that point of his career where he just gets it, and it's like, yeah, I'm coming out of the break and I'm dialing this up immediately. Yeah, it's gonna be fun to see what these guys do, because this has kind of been the part of the season that I've been waiting for. Just talking with the different guys and hearing the way that obviously they take every part of this season very seriously, but there has been that a little bit of like we're excited to get into the back half of this year and get into that. Just with everything, the ESPN doc and all that stuff. I rewatched some of the highlights just again from the final, and it's unbelievable the pace of that game relative to even regular season play.
It's a million miles an hour.
Forget how fast it's moving at the time. And yeah, I mean, we're getting to that point of the year, and to your point, really, like no better time than tonight in that same building to start getting this moving in the right direction.
What do the Avs need to take away from this game besides 2 points? Is that it? Is that the only thing that matters, or do they need to look at, hey, this is what we should be looking like as a team as we start to march toward the playoffs?
After the way the Pittsburgh game went, to me, the most important thing is the 2 points. You want to keep building, but I thought that Pittsburgh game was a really good game for them. I thought they played really well.
Besides the result.
The result got away from them in the last 4 minutes of regulation. But like, build on that and get the 2 points. Find a way to claw 2 points out of here. You need it after the way that the trip started.
I think a lot of things lend themselves to each other too. Like if they get the 2 points, then a lot of things probably went well within the game. You could point to those moral victories that we talked about with respect to Pittsburgh, but you could talk about it more positively if they do get the 2 points, because if they are playing a full 60 effort, they're probably going to get 2 points, and that's also what they should be doing. And if they're able to pull out a pretty statement win in the absence of Cale Makar, maybe utilize some of the frustration that they might have over that towards something positive, like getting 2 points. There are a lot of things that they should do in learning from the Pittsburgh game. Not that they did things wrong. It's just we saw the way in the third period that things fell apart for them. So they have 5v5 scoring that they want to focus on, and they have not giving away games late after 2 terrific periods. So there are some things to build upon there, and that is likely to yield the result of 2 points.
Just from a confidence standpoint, if you can beat Tampa, you can beat anybody.
Yep.
So go out there and do it. We do have some bets from Blaze to get to here.
Did you see them?
I didn't. Avs to win plus 170.
Oh
I mean, I like the top bet. The middle one is insane.
He said Blaze's crazy bets today.
Plus 1,200, though, so at least that's fun. I don't see EJ scoring on Andrei Vasilevskiy, though. Don't see that.
Although, wouldn't he? Like, wouldn't this be the time?
Right. Only if it's a big goal, EJ. It can't be some garbage goal, all right? I need a big one from you. And then Lehkonen, half a power play point at plus 250.
It's not terrible.
Megan, you kind of alluded to their 5-on-5. They need to get scoring there. They also need to get it done on the power play. They went 0 for 4 against Pittsburgh on the power play on top of that. So they had their opportunities. You'd like to see them actually finish some of those tonight. It's ESPN, so we're probably still about 10 minutes away from puck drop here. But any final thoughts from either of you going into this game?
Nope. I wish I was in Tampa.
Don't miss that flight, though, I bet.
No, but it just looks so warm and nice.
You good, Megan?
Yeah.
Okay. We are out of here for the pregame. No watch along because Nuggets also are playing today because the schedulers of these two leagues hate us.
Dude, it's crazy.
It's
just it's not that they're playing on the same day, but it's that like all these special start times for the Avs
at the same time.
Also for the Nut, it's it's borderline unbelievable. Going back to the the dueling Saturday noon start times. Now we've had 2 start at 5 o'clock. It's silly.
Also, Nuggets vibes are
Sad.
not great.
Oh,
Right
Sad
now.
boy vibes.
Not great right now. But you know what? Hopefully the Avs can pick them up tonight. We will be back post-game to break it all down. We hope to see you there. Until then, we'll talk to you later.